Hello, hello. Hey, high level listeners, welcome back to another live class. This is episode 5 of season 1. These are our live classes designed to give you fun, conversational, and high level English to take your language skills to the next level. My name's Mark. I'm from the UK. I'm the British teacher, or the British voice of high level listening. So I'll give you the British vocabulary, expressions, and phrases that you're more likely to hear in the UK.
Absolutely. Hi, everybody. Hello, high level listeners. I'm Kat, the American voice on high level listening, and welcome back to another weekly episode of your new favorite English podcast. So, our conversational English podcast is for intermediate and advanced students, and it's where Mark and I try to give you a fun and casual approach to learning English. So let's get into our latest episode. As usual, we'll start with two scripts, one in a more American tone with me, and the second with a more British tone from Mark. We'll then take apart the scripts piece by piece, giving you some interesting vocabulary, phrases, cultural insights, and more to help you get to the next level of English with high level listening.
Yes, we will. Today's topic is dinner time. If you've been following the episode so far, we commuted to work, we had lunch, we went back to work and finished the afternoon. Now it's time to go home and it's time to sort out dinner.
Mhm.
Sometimes finishing work is not the end of your day, it's just the end of one part of your day. When you leave the office or leave work, you need to think about dinner and what you're going to eat when you get home. So, we'll share both our experiences or what we usually do after we finish work. The question is, what do you normally do for dinner? And then Kat will go first.
On my way home from work, I can easily swing by the local grocery store. I try to pick up fresh ingredients, maybe some beef or chicken, and pair it with some sort of greens or veggies. Once I get home, I usually turn the TV on with some music or something in the background. Then I unpack everything and start figuring out what on earth I'm doing. Once I get into it, it feels good to take the time to make a nice homemade dinner, especially when I try out new recipes every now and again. Of course, sometimes I am just not really feeling it and we order something for delivery. Okay, so now I'll ask Mark the same question. What do you normally do for dinner?
On my way back from work, I usually pop into the local supermarket, grab whatever catches my eye, often some fish or fresh looking veg. Then, once I'm back home, I'll usually just chuck everything in the oven and try to decompress a little bit. Then I'll probably sit down in front of the telly, enjoy my meal, and relax a bit. It's not always like that, obviously. If it's Friday or if I've had a rough day, I might skip all the cooking and order a takeaway instead.
All right, excellent. So you can see that our days, our evening times, our dinner time, they were kind of similar, but we tried to share expressions, phrases, vocabulary that would be really helpful for you to kind of increase your level a little bit. So on my side, I started with on my way home from work, I can easily swing by the local grocery store. Swing by. So I want to start with the first part of the sentence on my way home from work. Now, I like this phrase because this is a pretty average evening for me. I was at work and on my way home from work, meaning the normal route that I take to go home, which is perfect because on my route, on my way home from work, I can easily swing by the local grocery store. Now, it's funny, the word swing, you might be thinking of the playground. Now, if you swing by somewhere, you're actually just going to quickly visit. Okay, so I can easily swing by. So here I am, I'm on my way home from work. I can easily swing by the local grocery store, pick up a few things, right? So, on my way home from work, on my way home from school, On my way home from the office, on my way home from picking up my kids, on my way home from working out. Now I can easily stop by or swing by. I like the word swing because it sounds like a whoop, grab a couple of things, go back to my route home, go back to my way home. So, for Mark, where do you go after you leave work?
Mm. I usually pop into the local supermarket. So, yes, Kat said swing by, which is fine. I used a more British phrase, pop into. So, pop is a very common verb in the UK and it can mean lots of different things. But in this context, pop into also means quickly visit. I quickly went into the supermarket, bought a few things, and then left again. Like 10 minutes max, I popped into. So to pop is to go. You can pop into the bank, pop into the post office and quickly send a letter, pop into the bank and quickly take out some money. So pop into means you did it quickly. This is very common in the UK, as I said. Another phrase that I also use with pop is pop over. If you visit your friend's house quickly, you can pop over. So maybe I popped over to my mum's house to say hi. Like I visited her 30 minutes max, and then I left. So if you want to sound more British, or if you're talking to your British friends and you want to visit them quickly, pop is a great one. Yeah, I popped into the supermarket. I just popped into the furniture store just to have a look around. So I went in quickly. I didn't spend a lot of time there.
So it sounds like you pop into a place of business and you pop over to a friend's house. Is that kind of a
Mm.
little bit how it is?
Yeah, right. A lot of meaning is in the preposition. So
Mm,
over means a house. So if I say, "Hey, cat, do you want to come over?" Over
right.
means my house. Or it's the same with a sleep over. You're not sleeping in the woods or on a campsite, or you're sleeping in someone's house. So coming over is always someone's home, someone's house.
Okay. Okay, that's interesting to think about. And then pop into because even as an American English speaker, I don't use this phrase pop very often. Just gonna pop into the shop, but sounds so British that I almost sound a little silly saying it.
Uh-huh.
So it is fun that this is a very, very now would you use the phrase swing by as well, or would you prefer to use pop into?
I think I would. My first choice would be pop into or
Mhm.
pop over. That's my first one. Swing by. I don't know. When you say swing by, I feel like I'm in a car or something. Like going to somewhere, and I'm gonna swing by your house halfway, pick something up or give you something, and then
And then
continue.
continue on your route home, which
Yeah,
makes
like
sense because that's what I did in my script. I was
oh right,
on
yeah.
my way home. I swung by in the past, I swung by the local supermarket and I continued on my way. So it does sound like here's my route and I swung by and then went back on my route.
Hmm. Yeah, okay. So we both went into a grocery store or a supermarket. What did you get when you went to your local grocery store?
Okay, when I'm usually kind of thinking about dinner, I try to pick up fresh ingredients, maybe some beef or chicken, and pair it with some sort of greens or veggies. Now, this kind of idea of pairing something. Okay, remember a pair of shoes, a pair of socks. That means there are two things. And just like a pair of shoes, they match. They go together. Okay? So when you lose one sock, you can't pair it with a different sock. They're not the same size, they're not the same color. So, if we want to pair something, we want to put two things together that would taste good, right? So I try to pick up fresh ingredients. I try to find some sort of protein to eat, maybe some beef or chicken, and pair it with some sort of greens or veggies. I don't want to just buy vegetables that don't taste good with the other food, right? I don't want to buy things that taste funny together.
Mm,
When I say I pick up, some fresh ingredients, that means that I bought them. Okay, so I'm going to pick them up physically, if you pick it up. But we could also pick up groceries. You go there, you choose them, you pick them out, you choose them, you take them to the cashier, pay for them, carry the groceries home. So you pick something up from the store. That kind of sounds like you're doing a quick shop, you're doing a quick grocery store run, you're picking something up, maybe something fresh for tonight, and then you're taking it home. Now, a couple of other words that I said, some sort of greens or veggies. Greens might be some nutritious dark green vegetables like leaves, spinach, broccoli, salad, some greens. Green things are healthy. That's why I try to pick some sort of greens or veggies. Now, of course, we can say vegetables. This is kind of a hard word for some of my students. Vegetables. It's almost like I'm saying vegetables. But we shorten that word, and a nice fun word that you can use is veggies, like G, veggies, veggies. You can pair it with some greens or veggies. All right, what about you? When you're thinking about dinner and you're at the grocery store, what do you normally think about?
I grab whatever catches my eye, often some fish and fresh looking veg. So there's another word for
Mhm.
vegetables. Vegetables, veggies, veg. Veg, again, another word for any vegetable. Fresh looking veg, so it's quite clean, it's colorful, it's ripe, it looks good and ready to eat. I grab whatever catches my eye. If it catches my eye, it looks interesting. It looks appealing. Maybe you see bananas and they're really, really bright yellow. They look ripe and ready to eat. That looks nice. Or maybe I'm thinking about my fridge at home and I know I've got two things in the fridge, but I need a third or fourth ingredient to make a meal. I'm walking through the supermarket and okay, I can put that vegetable with something I have in the fridge that catches my eye. I get an idea. Another word on pair it with, that reminds me of food and drink.
Mm,
Like in your script, you paired beef and chicken with greens or veggies. I might pair red meat with red wine.
mhm.
I might pair fish with white wine. So when you pair things, you can also pair a meal and pair a drink. So they both taste really nice together. Anyway, we can move on. We both get home after a long day at work. What do you normally do when you get home?
So once I get home, the moment I arrive home, once I get home, I usually turn the TV on with some music or something in the background. Now, something in the background. Now, the background, just like here, I have a white background. Okay. Those are the things behind me. But you can also have background sound. I know ever since the TV was invented, a lot of people just enjoy having the TV on in the background. They're not really paying attention. I mean, you might be listening to this podcast in the background. You might be cooking some dinner. You might be listening to us and just enjoying the sound in the background. You're paying attention, but your main focus is to get some dinner done. Okay, so I'm trying to get dinner done, but I like to have a little music in the background. I like to have a little TV on in the background. It just makes me feel like someone's around, especially if I'm alone in my apartment or I'm alone in my house. Just something kind of a little entertaining I can occasionally look over at, but most of the time I'm focused on what I'm doing. So it's playing in the background. There's some music on in the background, there's some TV on in the background.
Mm. Visit
Okay. And
any sorry,
yeah.
yeah, any restaurant or cafe. Also, you go into Starbucks or a coffee shop, they'll have music in the background. Maybe very quietly, so you don't listen to it, but
hmm
it's there in the background.
I hate when the background music is so loud, you can't actually enjoy your cup of coffee. So, yeah, the point of the background music is not to distract you. The point of it is to keep you focused on what you're doing. It's just something, nice to have around you, something playing in the background, not to take your focus away, definitely. All right. So, Mark, what do you do when you get home?
So I've popped into the supermarket and I've bought a few things. I get home and I usually just chuck everything in the oven and try to decompress a little bit. I've got another good British word, pop, visit quickly, chuck. Chuck literally means throw it. But when we're talking casually, chuck means put it. So I don't literally throw the vegetables in
That's
the
what I
oven.
think of. If you're going to
Right,
chuck it to me, I'm really like, whoa, okay, slow down,
right.
slow down.
Exactly. I'm really putting the vegetables and my ingredients into the oven. But again, I popped into means I did it quickly because it's common and it's part of my routine. I chucked it in the oven. I did it quickly because I've done it 1,000 times. So chuck it in the oven means do it quickly. Maybe I don't have a lot of time or I don't have a lot of energy to cook. Just chuck it in the oven, 30 minutes, and then forget about it. So, chuck, you can chuck it in the bin. If you have some trash or some litter, chuck it in the bin, do it quickly. If you're in a hurry, I chucked all the shopping in the car and then drove off. And as a casual phrase, if you're talking to a British person, you can say, chuck it here. And that means give it to me. Chuck it here. My mum says this about like the TV remote. If she wants to change the channel, she's like, chuck it here. And I don't throw it at my mum. I give it to her. But yeah, chuck is a nice, useful British phrase for put.
It definitely is softer in British. I feel like my first reaction, if your mom said chuck it here, I would, okay, slow down. Here. Nice soft throws. Nothing. I'm not a baseball
Mm,
player. We're not a football player here. We don't need to throw something at your mother's face or anything.
yeah.
But yes, it does. It feels a lot softer. Everything in English, even if it sounds harsh, is always a little bit softer than you think it is.
Mm, right. We'll always find another word instead of the normal word. Instead of visit, we'll use pop, give, chuck. That sounds more fun. So yeah, we'll use the more fun word.
Chuck it here. Chuck it
Mm,
here.
chuck it in. Yeah, very good. Chuck it in.
Thank you. Thank you.
Right.
I'm working on my British.
Very good. So we've both put something in the oven, or we both started cooking, and then now we're at home. Finally, it's time to relax. What did you say in your script about relaxing?
Americans, we take a long time to relax. So I just I just turned the TV on. I have something playing in the background. And I'm looking at all of the groceries. I've taken all the bags. Of course, you have to take all the bags in one trip. You can't go back to the car twice. So I have 5, 10 bags. And I'm just looking at everything I have. I'll be honest, I have a short attention span, so I put all the bags on the table and I just look at them and start figuring out what on earth I'm doing. If you've ever had the experience of putting some items down or walking into a room and you think, why am I here? What on earth am I doing? So, this phrase is so funny. I probably ask myself this phrase at least once a day, a couple of times a week. What on earth am I doing? Okay, what on earth am I doing? Okay, well, let's see. So I brought the groceries in from the car and I set them down on this table and oh yes, I need to make some dinner. So if you get a little confused, if you just get a little forgetful, and you just think to yourself, well, what on earth am I doing? Okay, I'll figure out what I'm doing. Oh, yes, of course, of course. Okay, so the potatoes go here, the veggies go here, the meat goes here. Aha, I'm starting to figure it out. I'm starting to solve the problem. So, what on earth am I doing? Oh, I'm making dinner. Okay, so it sounds like, Mark, you just chucked everything in the oven. I'm jealous. I'm a little bit more methodical than that, chopping, washing. You just chucked it in the oven. So, what do you do to kind of relax or unwind?
So I chuck everything in the oven and try to decompress a little.
Good word.
Decompress. It's quite a new word in my
Yeah,
vocabulary. I think a few years ago I wasn't saying this, but it's become quite a common phrase nowadays. When you're at work, you're sort of in work mode. You're using your energy and your focus to talk to colleagues, to talk to clients, customers, and that takes a lot of mental energy. So when you come home, you finally have a chance to switch off your brain and decompress. You let the pressure of work
yeah.
just go. If you take the train or take public transport back home, you will see a lot of people decompressing. Often they're just zoning out. They let their mind go blank. They're not talking to anybody. They could just be scrolling through their phone, but that is them relaxing and decompressing from their day at work. Especially if you work face to face with customers. You have to be happy, polite, and professional all day. And when it's 5 p.m., you can decompress. You can just relax. So that's what I've done in my script. I threw everything in the oven and I sit on the sofa and maybe I do nothing. I just stare at the TV and decompress. Some people decompress in the car. It's an important, like, quiet bubble they have before they get home. So, yeah, decompressing. Everybody goes through this when they finish their shift or finish their work for the day.
I definitely think of feeling maybe a little bit tense, a little bit stressed out. And then when I'm
Mhm.
decompressing, I'm trying to kind of relax and unwind a little bit. So I love this word decompress. Sometimes I just need a moment of quiet. So hey, I'm just going to take 10, 20 minutes to decompress. In other words, don't bother me. Leave me alone,
Mm.
please.
Right, yeah, if someone's decompressing, just give them a moment. Give
Yeah.
them 5 minutes to decompress,
Yeah.
or
It's a
10
polite
minutes.
way also to say, go away. Don't bother
Yes.
me,
Yeah,
please.
I'm just decompressing. Yeah. Okay. I used a cool, I think cool, British phrase in my script as well. Part of my decompressing and relaxing is I sit down in front of the telly.
Very
So
British. Your
three, yeah, it's
telly.
third one. The telly. The telly is the television. The TV. The telly. My mum says telly. If I call her and I'm like, "Hi, what are you doing?" She's like, "Oh, I'm just watching telly." Or "There's something really good on the telly. Can you call me back?" Um, so telly. I think I we you only hear this in the UK. I don't think I've heard an
Definitely.
American say it. Yeah,
No.
the telly. You watch some telly, turn on the telly, turn off the telly. I sit in front of the telly.
Yeah, we in America, we wouldn't really use telly, and we don't really use television either. I mean, it's definitely just TV. TV for sure.
Mhm. Okay, what about you? When you're relaxing or if you're trying to decompress after your day, what was the last part of your script?
It's a good question. I don't think I get any time to relax. I am cooking, cooking. Actually, to be honest, once I get into cooking, that actually is a good way for me to decompress. Because once I get into it, I'm not distracted anymore. I know what I'm doing. I finally figured out what on earth I'm doing. So once I get into it, it does feel good to take the time to make a nice homemade dinner. That is kind of a moment for me to just, okay, if I've been focusing on the computer screen all day, if I've been talking to people all day, I just have some nice background music going and I'm just sitting there. Yeah, okay, okay. I'm just going to get into it, and that does feel good to make a nice homemade dinner, especially when I try out new recipes every now and again. I like this phrase because we actually use every now and again every now and then, every so often. These are they're all very similar phrases that sort of mean sometimes. I don't try out new recipes all the time. I try out new recipes every now and again, every now and then, every so often. And all of these phrases, again, mean sometimes. So once I get into it, I find that rhythm. I'm doing things very smoothly. Okay, I'm taking the food, I'm chopping, 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 taking the food, chopping, chopping, chopping. Then I do start to unwind a little bit. I do start to relax. And then I try out some new recipes when I have the energy every now and again.
Once I get into it, it sounds like you didn't want to do it at the beginning, right?
Well, I was also a little confused. I mean, remember, I have a short attention span. Just got home from work. I just looked at myself like,
What am
where
I
am
doing
I?
here?
What, what on earth am I doing?
Mhm.
And it happens to all of us. You enter a room, you think, what was I what was I going into this room for? So like I said, I was a little bit confused. And so I really had to kind of start to focus and think, okay. And then once I get into it, that's when that feels more rhythmic, okay, a little bit more smoothly. And honestly, that is a good way to decompress. That is a good way for me to unwind as well.
Hmm.
Now, what happens, Mark, if you don't feel like cooking?
Right. Yeah, in my diary example, we've both been very good, very healthy, buying these fresh ingredients. It's not always like that.
Right.
If it's Friday, so it's the end of my working week, or if I've had a rough day, a difficult day, or a stressful day, I might skip all the cooking and order a takeaway
Mm.
instead.
Hmm.
So takeaway, that's more common in the UK as well. Takeaway is usually Chinese food, Indian food, or some unhealthy comfort food, pizza from a restaurant. And I'll call them on the phone or I'll use an app these days and they will deliver it to my house. The meal is a takeaway. So
Oh,
it's
yeah.
a meal,
Okay.
so it's a noun, so it's one word. Takeaway, one word. I order a takeaway. My mum does this every Friday. I think every Friday or every Saturday, she orders a takeaway, a Chinese takeaway or an Indian takeaway. They know her name, they recognize her number. So when she calls them, they're like, "Hello, Elaine." And yeah, they know
That's
what she
so
wants.
cute. That's so
Yeah.
sweet. They know their customers.
They do. So a takeaway is, yeah, pizza, Indian food, Chinese food, any kind of greasy, unhealthy food that you that makes you feel better when you don't want to cook. Did you say something similar when you don't feel like cooking?
Absolutely. Of course, sometimes I'm just not really feeling it and we order something for delivery. So, something for delivery, something to go. If it's something to go, that means I'm visiting the restaurant and I'm going to pick it up. Something to go. Something for delivery, it's probably going to come to my house. Okay. It's going to be delivered by someone. What I said at the beginning, why would I order something for delivery? Because I'm just not really feeling it. I'm just not really feeling it. I'm just not really feeling it. Means I don't want to.
Mm,
So, just simply saying I don't want to sounds a little abrupt, sounds a little direct. If someone said, I don't want to, I was like, okay, what are you, a child? Like, I don't want to. Whereas you could say, I'm just not really feeling it. Means exactly the same thing, but you're like, yeah, of course, no worries, no big deal. I'm just not really
mhm.
feeling it.
It's a really good way to turn down an invitation. If someone
Ah,
invites you somewhere,
mm,
and I think you could say, "Sorry, I'm not really feeling it
oh, I
tonight.
think that
Can
would
we
be
skip
so
that?"
rude.
That'd be rude. I feel like that's
Absolutely. If you just said,
right.
I'm just not really feeling it, like when
Mm,
the person invites you, I think if you have to cancel, maybe.
mm.
But if you said that to me, if you said, "Oh, I'm just not really feeling it," I would be like, "Okay."
I'd add, I'm
Rude.
not really feeling it tonight. So maybe tomorrow, yeah, but then tonight, no?
I don't know.
Would that make it better?
That's tricky. That's tricky. I think
Mm,
if you I would just say, I'm so sorry. I'm not feeling really well.
okay. Okay,
But I'm
fair.
not really feeling it is not a way to that's a rude way, I think.
I
It's
don't
not
I
the
would use
nicest
it.
thing you could say.
Fair. Sure, there's probably nicer ways to do it, but I thought you could use it as a phrase, a soft put down.
I wouldn't say it to the host. If
Mm,
if you and a friend were going to a party and the party was just a big party, everybody's invited. And my friend, not the host, asked me, "Hey, do you want to go to the party tonight?" I'm just not really feeling it, honestly. I'll just tell
mhm.
them I'm not coming, but I wouldn't say that to the host. Definitely
Okay,
not. I
that's
would say
fair.
it to a friend, or if someone was like, "Oh, do you want to go to dinner tonight?" Say, I'm just not really feeling like going out tonight. That's completely fine. But I think for a
Mhm.
party or like a birthday invitation, saying I'm not really feeling it means I'm not really wanting to go to your party, your invitation.
Fair. That's fair, sure. Oh, maybe if you're at a big concert and there's loads of people there and there's a band playing and your friend is like, "Do you wanna leave?" And you can be like, "Yeah, I'm not really feeling it here." That means I'm not really enjoying the music. And the band can't hear me. I'm not gonna
Right,
so
right,
I'm not
because
gonna hurt their feelings.
I wouldn't say that to the band, that's exactly the
Right.
same situation, so you wouldn't
Mm,
say that to the host of the party, "Oh, yeah, I'm just not
fair.
really feeling it," and you're like, "Okay, get out of my house then."
You're right. Yeah,
Right,
so
leave. But for sure, like, "Hey, are you busy tonight? Do you wanna come out for dinner?" Something very low key, something very easygoing. I'm just not really feeling it tonight. Maybe next weekend? Maybe
right.
sometime, in a few days." So I think things that are a little less, like a party invitation
Right,
for
yeah, less
friends.
personal. Yeah, not with you. Yeah, fair.
All right.
Okay.
Well, that was kind of some fun, interesting chit chat at the end, but we are going to go ahead and tie up our episode for today. We want to say a big thank you to all of our new subscribers on YouTube. We are so, so thrilled to have every one of you here, and we're really excited to continue our weekly episodes. So, thank you. We love to hear any time that you're using high level listening, why you're learning English, how we can be part of your English language journey. We love to see your comments, and we really do appreciate it. We try to reply to everyone, so we are happy to see everybody's comments.
Mm. Yes, same as she said. Thank you so much. The response has been really amazing. It's grown, and we're getting more comments than we expected, more followers than we expected, more questions, and it sounds like we're helping more people than we expected as well. So, if you have any questions about the vocabulary or the grammar or expressions you heard in this episode, what's the difference between this and this?
Mhm.
You can always ask in the comments. And yeah, we read every single comment.
We get
All the
so
time. So
excited.
I know, right? We're kind of always refreshing the app just to see if there's a new one. So
Yeah.
we will see it, and if you ask us a question, we'll reply, and we'll try and help you out. So yes, thank you so much for watching us. We've also created a playlist, so you can watch all the previous episodes all in a row. You can just have them in the background
Yep.
while you're doing something else. So yes, and we'll be back next Monday with another live class.
Thank you so much, everyone. We will see you for our next class. Bye, everyone. Thank you.
Thank you. Bye bye.